and welcome to This Week in Laker Football, your exclusive weekly look into the West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team all throughout their season. I'm Tyler Keefe, alongside head coach Zach Hilbers on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. The Lakers coming off an emphatic win in Week 1, 42-0. Your initial thoughts on that first performance against Chippewa Valley?
It's always good to win Week 1, and you feel really good, I guess, when it goes down the way it went down. It wasn't perfect, but it rarely is in high school football, so we're really happy with how the year started. We just hope that, we kind of keep our focus going forward.
What were some of the key points that you were impressed with your team, especially defensively with your team coming out and making plays really from the jump against a tough offense?
Yeah, that was the best part to me, was like we were ready from snap one, and obviously Corey made a really big play to start the game off, which was huge for us. And we kind of made a few mistakes after there on all phases of the game, but we kind of kept our composure, stuck to our stuff, and as soon as our offense found its footing, they started to move the ball and score too.
What do you think was the difference maker in kind of finding that footing after those early stumbles?
Well, it really was. We had a bad snap on a drive, which killed, I think it was a second and short, all of a sudden became a third and long. And then we had penalties on the other drive. So any drive that game where we didn't have a bad snap or a penalty, we scored. So as soon as we kind of, got those jitters out of the way, we, like I said, stayed in it and trusted it and did okay.
That was something that was really interesting about this matchup this year and this Week 1 for the Lakers is it didn't seem like those preseason jitters, those early season jitters, took as big of a toll on that team. Is that something that you noticed as well from the coaching staff side?
Yeah, I would say so, and a lot of it is because we made it just a play or two. Sometimes if you make a mistake, you can let it kind of spiral and it affects a series or a quarter. We made a mistake on a couple play here, a play there, and we kind of moved on and did the job after it. And you can get away with a lot more if you have that mentality.
Especially on the defensive side of the ball. Coming into this season, we looked at the youth of this team, and it was kind of a 50-50. Is this going to hit in Week 1 or early on, or are we going to see some growing pains? It looked like these young defenders were really well prepared and came out and executed. How impressed were you with the younger players coming up on that defense, especially in the secondary, and their performance in Week 1?
Yeah, I was really happy with it, like you said, because Chippewa Valley's got some athletes, they got some really good receivers out there, and we were able to kind of execute our game plan, and they look pretty good. Mistake here or there, but that, like I said, that's going to happen. It's our job to coach them up and get better from there. The challenge this coming week is going to be a lot different, and a really physical team that's going to try to hit you in the mouth. So we just got to be ready for a different style of football.
We saw your team be really confident after that 42-0 game and even throughout that game, which is great for early on in the season, but like you said, it doesn't get any easier from here. So how do you keep the team focused as they're going through that 42-0 blowout win in Week 1, and then as you refocus them after that, celebrating the win, but keeping focused on the 8 weeks ahead?
Yeah, it's something we talk about all the time as a team, that, life's like this and football's like this. It has peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows, but it's our job to be like this. So when things are going really, really well, like it did for us last week, it's our job to stay level-headed and, be ready to prepare the next week and play the next game. And then, the other side of that is when things aren't going your way, is can you have the mentality and, I guess, the fortitude to fight yourself through it. So, we've talked about it a lot, but at the same time, we got to do it too.
Jeremiah Benson on that defensive line, he was an absolute bulldog in that game. That goes for everybody else, Tank, Travis, the whole group in that defensive core. You looked at that as being a critical part of this team this season, especially on the defensive side. How impressed were you with their performance, these upperclassmen coming in and really a tough act to follow after the D-line you had last year?
Yeah, it's you don't really find too many Brandon Davis Swains. I've seen one in my years here. So it's a tough act to follow, like you said, but we knew Jeremiah was really good, and we don't need him to be Brandon, we need him to be himself, and he did a really good job of that, because he can be a very, very good player. When he reaches his full potential, it's going to almost feel like we didn't have a drop-off. And I never would have thought after a guy like Brandon leaves you could say that. But Jeremiah can be a very, very good player.
On the offensive side, very similar story for Joshua Tate, who a year ago kind of had those expectations of being that next great Laker running back. Didn't quite have the season statistically you would have thought he would have, but did all the little things really well. He comes into Week 1 this week, primary ball handler in the backfield, 2 touchdowns. How impressed were you? How proud were you of him to have a game like that and get that off his back?
And I was probably, of the kids in the team, I was the happiest for. It'd be like Josh and Jamal Shakespeare, who like put in a ton of work. They're really good kids. I mean, Josh does so many little things right in the school day and for our football program and for our team. So to see him, kind of reap the benefits of that, it's really why you get into stuff like this, coaching and teaching and stuff. He's the type of kid you would root for if you know who he is. So like, I'm really, really happy for him that he got that success.
Coach, before we take a break here, your key takeaways from week one, what you're looking to see improved from that Chippewa Valley game onto this road game coming up in Birmingham.
Well, we kind of mentioned it, but, we'd be excited, be really happy because you saw like the process worked and when we went and executed our game plan the way we wanted to. But we talk about it all the time is that, highlights are good for a team, but mistakes are what really win and lose games. So if you have too many mistakes, you're going to lose. And if you eliminate your mistakes, you got a chance to win. So I guess that'd be our biggest sticking point.
Battle of number ones coming up. The number one preseason team out of the OAA Red is your West Bloomfield Lakers. Number one out of the white, Birmingham Groves, the Falcons, on the road for the Lakers this week. We'll take a break on the other side, talk to some of the players, and then we'll come back for a preview of this week's matchup with Birmingham Groves. Stay with us. It's This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. 2nd and 5. Alston outside, picked off! That one's going home. Touchdown, WB. It is a pick six for Chops Pittman.
We mentioned earlier that young secondary, what are they going to do? First game of the season, they come out and set the tone right away instead of the defensive line with a pick six.
Hello, my name is Danya Bazzi. I'm the superintendent of West Bloomfield School District. I want to congratulate Civic Center TV on hitting the amazing milestone of 1 million viewers. Your involvement in our community doesn't go unnoticed. We thank you for keeping our residents and community engaged in the latest and greatest news and information. I'm Danya Bazzi, and I'm proud to be 1 in a million.
Watch West Bloomfield Lakers football all season long on 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. Join Tyler Keefe and Matt Catoni each week for live, in-depth, and exclusive coverage before, during, and after the big game. It's your local high school football team on the road and in your backyard on your home for West Bloomfield Laker football, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Keefe, joined alongside junior quarterback and safety Jamal Shakespeare, coming off a 42-0 victory, your first game as a full-time starter at the varsity level. Reflect on that and your feelings after an emphatic win in week one.
After the game, the team was hyped. We all felt good, especially getting that donut. We haven't got a donut in years, and so then for me going into the game, I was just preparing to play safety and quarterback. I knew, going into the game, they told me I was going to play both sides of the ball, and so I had to mentally get ready for it and physically get ready for it, and so I just went out there, executed, and did what I could do.
So you talk about getting mentally and physically prepared for those two roles. How do you separate the two? Because it's very different playing quarterback than it is reading a defense and following along in that secondary.
Yeah, so it's different, but it's kind of same because quarterback, you're look at the defense, what they're going to do. You're reading them, and then when you go to safety, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're reading the quarterback, thinking, okay, where's the ball going? Where's the quarterback looking? And that's also how I got that pick, is where I just thought, okay, I'll put my shoes on the quarterback. Where would I go if I'm the quarterback and I'm rolling out on the pass with the ball?
Talk about this young defense, too, because especially in the secondary, you got some guys that are coming up the depth chart this year, got some varsity experience in 2023, especially late, but to have that kind of performance in the secondary early on, shutting down that Big Reds offense, how did that feel for building a confidence in that secondary?
We're young, but we're talented. We're a talented group of guys. We just put in the work during the offseason, and we went out there to execute.
Jamal Shakespeare is with us on This Week in Laker Football, junior safety for the West Bloomfield Lakers, one of many who contributed to a 42-0 shutout of the Chippewa Valley Big Reds in week number one. On the other side at quarterback, a unique situation here at West Bloomfield High School. You're sharing the quarterback role with Bo Jackson. Take us through that dynamic and how the two of you not only challenge each other on the field and off the field, but complement each other in this Laker offense.
So in practice, it's not really competing. Well, it's kind of competing, but it's kind of not. So I challenge him, he challenged me. You know, we're like going at it back and forth. You know, I could do things he can do, and he can do things I can't do. And so, but when it comes game, we're just all one big family. And so I keep him focused, he keep me focused. He tell me to calm down. I'm going in there, and we're just supporting each other mentally.
You've been on this team. You were on the varsity team last year when you guys got to the semifinals, got so close to Ford Field for that championship. You know what it's like to have these big blowout wins. You had that against Southfield A&T. So what did the veteran players on this team do in the locker room and have been doing at practice since that game on Friday last week to keep the team humble and focused on a tough schedule ahead?
They've just been keeping us focused and making sure everybody's on the same level and we're on the same clique as a team. And so it's not really, we're more of a team this year as we was last year, I feel like. And it comes a big part from our seniors and our upperclassmen.
What do you think's been the difference in keeping this team so much closer this year and building that chemistry when you still lost a lot of players to graduation a year ago?
I feel like it's the bond. Like everybody gets along with everybody. You know, we all cool. We hang out outside of school and outside of football practice and football game. We go out to eat sometimes, and so, you know, it's just like a big family.
Jamal Shakespeare is with us, a junior safety and quarterback. Also plays running back, a little wide receiver, kind of the all-around athlete for these West Bloomfield Lakers. Jamal, as you head into OAA play, going into a crossover this week with Birmingham Groves and then into divisional play, how does that shift the focus a little bit of this team, especially from the leadership side with you and the other upperclassmen, getting ready for really the core of this season's schedule?
So we gotta just focus on stopping the run. And I feel like that if everybody just do their part and everybody just do their job, then we're going to have a good run.
Jamal, what are your lasting thoughts on this team? What's it going to take for you guys to take it to the next level every single week and ultimately not only just get to Ford Field, but bring home the hardware?
I feel it's going to take a lot of hard work, dedication, and just focus mentally. Like everybody got to be on the same page. We can't be messing around and having off days. Like every day got to be an on day. We got to get 1% better each day.
Lakers were 100% better in that secondary in week number 1. Multiple interceptions, including a pick 6 in the first 30 seconds for the Lakers, and one a few minutes later by Jamal Shakespeare himself. Jamal, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break on This Week in Laker Football. On the other side, I'll be joined once again by Coach Zach Hilbers. We'll preview this OAA white, OAA red crossover matchup on the road at Birmingham Groves. We'll be right back on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Getting chased toward the sideline. Up top, picked off again. Onto the sideline go the Lakers and out of bounds at the 45-yard line thereabouts. Once again, it's going back to the elbows.
We've got news. Civic Center TV just reached 1 million views on YouTube. Over the years, we've filed over 10,000 stories. We've covered local parades and events, life-saving efforts by first responders, remarkable accomplishments of local individuals, state championship athletic teams, and our area's history, government, and the people who volunteer to make our community better. Civic Center TV on cable, online, and on social media, now with over 1 million views on YouTube. Civic Center TV, thanks for watching. You're 1 in a million.
Live, local, social. Dive into your community with the Splash Live. Coverage of events and exciting developments in the greater West Bloomfield area. Join Tyler Keefe, Kevin McIntosh, and the rest of our staff live out on the street or in our studio. Weekdays live on Comcast Channel 15 or on AT&T at Channel 99. Watch us online too on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, on YouTube at Civic Center TV, or on our website, civiccentertv.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. It's your exclusive look all throughout the season into West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football. I'm Tyler Keefe, joined by head coach Zach Hilbers. Coming off a 42-0 victory over Chippewa Valley at home. Now the Lakers go on the road for a couple of games. It all begins in the OAA white against Birmingham Groves. They're coming off a pretty impressive win themselves, 35-14 over U of D Jesuit. What should we know about the Falcons this season?
Well, yeah, it was 35-14, but it was 35-0 pretty quickly in the third quarter, and their defense was very stout until they kind of got some other guys in the game there at the end. Groves is physical. They've been physical the last 22 years, however long Coach Flaherty's been there. They're going to hit you in the mouth on offense and defense, and they don't make too many mistakes. They make you beat them. They don't beat themselves, and it's going to be a different challenge than last week was.
All eyes in that physicality are on Avery Gatch, blue chip recruit heading to the University of Michigan. That's really the guy you're looking at. And everybody's going to be fearing going up against the Falcons. How do you match up against a guy like Avery?
Well, it's tough. He's good. He's every bit as good as people say he is. You know, we showed the kids film from his week 1 against U of D, and he's blocking guys 5, 10, 15 yards downfield. So it's our job to scheme it up and try to limit his effectiveness as much as we can, which is obviously a little bit easier said than done.
We know that last week a lot of your offense was ran through the running game. Given the physicality, especially in the trenches, should we look to see a little bit more involvement then from your receivers who got involved last week, but not quite as much as we saw, particularly in 2023?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, they got some athletes out on the edge too. They got some really good players, like number 3, number 1, number 23. They got some guys back there also. So it's not like it's necessarily a weakness of their team. But you're right. If they load up and try to stop the run like they traditionally do, we're probably going to have to be a little bit more balanced. But that'll be, I guess, a game time thing. We'll see what it looks like.
You said it a few weeks ago at OAA Football Media Day, as did every other coach in this league. This is a really tough league to win in, whether you're in your division in the red or you're going up against other teams in the down divisions. How do you refocus your team coming into the OAA section of their schedule to understand what they're going up against these next 8 weeks?
Well, you really kind of rely on your seniors and upperclassmen that have been through it that can kind of help echo that message that you don't have a week off from now until hopefully Thanksgiving, if we're lucky enough. It's going to be a grind, and is it difficult? Yeah. Does it make you work and stress and all that stuff and lose sleep? Yeah, but it also means if we do stuff right and get a chance to qualify for the playoffs, that we'll be ready.
How does the schedule affect that too? Because you only have 3 home games on the schedule this year. You got a lot more going out on the road. Does that affect the preparation or the mentality going into game day for these kids?
Well, it's 4 total. It's 3 more. Yeah, I mean, a little bit here and there. I try not to worry too much about that because when it comes down to it, it's whether we're here or somewhere else, it's 48 minutes. The rules are the same. The game's the same, and we shouldn't let that affect us as much as we can. But yeah, it definitely makes a difference going there, and they do a good game day atmosphere at Groves, and Adams the next week's one of the best ones in the county, if not the state as well. So yeah, it's definitely challenging, but we kind of block that out and do what we do.
Talked about it from the defensive standpoint. Moving on to Groves' offense, as you look at what they did in week 1, what are you telling to your guys in the film room to be looking out for as they head into Birmingham for week number 2?
Well, their traditional stuff is under center, I run and power, stretch, and counter, and they have play actions off of all of them that look exactly the same. So as soon as you get confident in knowing what they're going to do, they kind of burn you with those. But they've done some different stuff in the shotgun game and some jet read and getting other athletes they have on offense involved, and they made some plays down the field in the passing game as well. So they can hurt you in a lot of different ways, and teams like that, as soon as you load up to stop really their physicality, they're going to burn you.
How fun is it for you as a coach, as a football lifer, someone that's grown up in OAA football and now lives it every single day, to match up against Coach Flaherty over there in Birmingham Groves, the wily vet with over 20 years of experience?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really good guy, and he coached for Groves when I played high school football. So I try not to think about that. He probably doesn't want me to say it too much either. But he was the same way back then. They were going to hit you in the mouth. They're going to be physical on defense, and they're the same way now. So. When I told the kids that, they might have made fun of me a little bit, and whatever, I can take it. I probably deserve it at this point, but it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's full circle, but just to have that type of experience.
You're looking for a win in week number 2. You're looking for a win every single week. But on top of that win, what else would make you and your staff really happy if you saw it from your Lakers this week in Birmingham?
I guess just matching their physicality, because, if we can win multiple ways, if you can win against a fast athletic team like Chippewa and you can win against a physical team like Groves, then you're pretty dangerous because you can kind of take on anything. The other side of that is if they have their way with us, then we know we got a lot of work to do. So it's definitely going to be a challenge.
Definitely going to be an interesting week on the road for the Lakers. The next 2 weeks are road games. First off in Birmingham this week against Groves, Friday night, 7 o'clock. Then the week after that, they begin their OAA Red Division schedule at Rochester Adams. We'll have all that live for you right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I want to thank you for tuning in to your weekly look into West Bloomfield Laker football. Stay tuned on civiccentertv.com/Lakers sports all throughout the season. For the entire athletic department at West Bloomfield High School, alongside head coach Zach Hilbers, I'm Tyler Kieft. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.